Has a grandparent ever held money hostage over your baby's name? Has a grandparent ever held money hostage over your baby's name? My father-in-law offered us $40,000 to name our son after a dead man, and the clause he buried in that offer is exactly what blew up in his face 6 months later. Everyone called Roland the General. He ran Sunday dinners like military briefings, seating chart and all, and he'd spent 30 years reminding the family that his late father, Bartholomew, was the reason any of us had anything. Grandpa Bartholomew built the business from a single truck. When he died, he left a savings bond for the first great-grandchild who carries the Vance name. Roland appointed himself keeper of that bond, and he never once let anyone actually read the letter it came with. He'd just quote it, always the same line, always from memory. So when Nora got pregnant, Roland made his move. He sat us down, slid a folder across the table, and said the bond, now worth just over $40,000, was ours the day we named our son Bartholomew. Tradition, he said, you honor the man who built this family, you get the man's money. Simple. We wanted to name him Milo. I said so. Roland laughed like I'd told a joke. Milo, you'd trade your son's inheritance for a name that sounds like a breakfast cereal? Nora tried to speak, and he talked right over her. This isn't your side's decision, dear. This is a Vance matter. Then he started working the phones. He called Nora's parents to help them see reason. He called my sister. At the next dinner, he announced to the whole table that if we insisted on being ungrateful, he'd simply give the bond to my cousin's kid instead, someone who respects where they came from. Everyone went quiet. That was Roland's whole game. Make it public, make it shameful, make you fold in front of people. Here's what Roland didn't know. 2 weeks earlier, clearing out Grandpa Bartholomew's storage unit, I'd found the original executor's file, the real one, with the full letter Roland had been quoting from memory for 15 years. I photographed every page. That night, I finally read it, all of it, and the line Roland always quoted wasn't the whole clause. The bond went to the first great-grandchild who carries the Vance name, not the first name, the surname. Our son would be a Vance the second he was born. By the letter Roland himself claimed to worship, Milo already qualified. The naming condition, the entire $40,000 leash, was something Roland had invented and enforced for years. And there was more. Lower on the same page, in Grandpa's own hand, was a line Roland had never once repeated. Give this to the child freely. Bartholomew was a heavy name to carry. Do not chain a baby to it to make an old man feel remembered. Let them choose the name they love. The man Roland spent his life invoking had explicitly told the family not to do the exact thing Roland was doing. So I made a plan. We named our son Milo Bartholomew Vance. Milo the name he'd actually be called. Bartholomew tucked in the middle as a real honor. Vance the surname that satisfied the bond 100 times over. Then quietly, I sent the full letter and Milo's birth certificate to the executor's office and requested the release. I didn't tell Roland any of it. Roland threw a naming celebration a month later. His idea, his house, 40 guests. He'd assumed we'd caved. He stood up with his glass and started a speech about legacy, about Bartholomew, about how proud he was that the family's traditions still meant something. Then he turned to us, beaming, and asked me to announce our son's name to make it official. So I did. I stood up, thanked everyone for coming, and read Grandpa Bartholomew's letter out loud. The real one. The whole clause about the surname. And then the line telling the family never to force the name on a child. The room turned to look at Roland. He went the color of the tablecloth. He started sputtering about interpretation, about how I'd twisted it, but his own sister cut him off. Roland, that's Dad's handwriting. You told us it said something else for 15 years. I set one more paper on the table. The bond released last Tuesday. It's already in Milo's account because Milo Vance qualified the day he was born. You never had anything to hold over us. Roland opened his mouth, and for the first time in 30 years of Sunday briefings, the general had nothing to say.